Game 2 will be, well, they always say 30 to 45 minutes after the last out, but we'll see. 40 minutes, allegedly, we've been told. Keyword there is allegedly.
Allegedly, right.
Crenshaw's next pitch is high. And 1-1. Missouri's leader in average, hits, runs scored, doubles. Like we highlighted earlier, 6-game hit streak coming into today. Season long for her this season is 7. 2-1.
Well, and she's having such a great year. Last year, only hitting .207 with 3 home runs. This year, she's tearing it up. .374.
Outside corner. 2-2. Yep, in the 370s. Has already surpassed a lot of her numbers from last season too. And it's just because it's, and Coach Anderson told us this earlier this week, it's that this is my last year mentality. You want to go out strong. You want to go out with a bang. Slapped on to center. Going back is Taylor Malvin. She makes the catch, out number 1. She put a good swing on that, Missy, but it's just the name of the game sometimes. You hit it right to somebody.
That's right, and honestly, that's really been Missouri's problem so far this season, is just hitting right at people. And you yourself know those are going to fall. They're eventually going to fall.
You give me too much credit sometimes when it comes to my IQ. Thank you. Madison Walker steps up, sophomore. Kansas native. She was the Kansas Gatorade Player of the Year back in her prep career. As Machenio zings it in there for strike 1. Stands 5'10", the sophomore. Hitting .257 coming into today. 13 homers, 13. Sits second in the SEC, 11th in the country. She towers this out to center, and Malvin out to the warning track. She makes the catch. Solid start for Miley Machenio. 2 outs here in the first inning against Missouri's top 2 hitters. But they put good swings on it, Missy. And again, like you said, at some point, those just got to fall for an offense that has been struggling overall.
Yeah, but they're so talented offensively. I mean, you know, it's just a matter of just finding the right time. And, you know, those last 2 pitches, or last 2 at-bats are right out to Malvin in center field.
Kara Daly at the plate, Jefferson City, Missouri native. One of 11 young women on this roster from Missouri, the state. She's been around. She's called the strike. 0-2.
When we talked to Larissa Anderson, she talked about recruiting kids from Missouri. And I think that's important. You look in your backyard first and try and get everybody that you can, and then you venture out.
.292 hitter coming into today, hitting .255 for her career. Machenio, the freshman. Here's the 1-2. Machenio's just burst onto the scene here in Oxford. At one point this year, before SEC play, she led the nation in strikeouts. Leads the SEC in shutouts. She's got 5 this year. It's also 4th in the country as a freshman.
Well, as I said earlier, Ole Miss has set her up for success, giving her a lot of games early on in the preseason, and she's just shined.
Payoff pitch. And that did hit Daly. Sometimes never know when those pitches are up and in if it's off the nub of the bat or it actually did hit the batter. And Jamie Traxel's out of her dugout. She wants the umpires to get together to chat about this.
Well, not only that, but also with where the pitch location is, because if it's anywhere on the plate, that is not a hit batter. And so I think that might be what head coach Jamie Traxel is looking to find out here.
Destiny Robinson, our home plate umpire today. William Lopez Pellet is our first base ump. Dave Reinnecker is our third base umpire, and Coach Traxel rather, getting her explanation from Destiny Robinson. And our crew chief today is Dave Reinnecker. He now joins the conversation.
I think she's, this just is my interpretation, but I think she motioned to her ear like she heard it hit off the bat.
There's not really much they can do here. I mean, it's such a...
Well,
right?
I mean, she can challenge it, but I mean, why would you want to waste a challenge early like that where something more significant could happen later on in the game?
This is the first inning. You have 2 outs. Well, we play on in Oxford. Taylor Ebbs at the plate. Takes outside.
You talk about their offensive struggles, but Taylor Ebbs is tearing it up, hitting .462 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs and 1,000 slugging percentage in SEC play. So they're looking for big things from her today.
Talked about Madison Walker being the Kansas Player of the Year in her prep career. Well, Ebbs was the Oregon Gatorade Player of the Year. From Kaiser, Oregon. In her first season at Missouri, transferred in from Kentucky.
Well, that makes her well aware of SEC ball.
Oh, she knows it all. Played in 146 games in Lexington, hit .272 in her 3 seasons at Kentucky. 25 homers in those seasons, 90 hits. Pachenio gets the edge, 2-2. Popped up, left side. De Leon, the third baseman, makes the squeeze. And that's it for the top half of the first. Missouri scoreless ball game so far in the first inning. McCann, she's an ace, Missy, and of course she is with numbers like that.
Oh, absolutely. You're going to see her throw around 63. She's got a rise, a curve, and a changeup.
Yeah, back for year 2 at Missouri. Career .265 ERA. Goes up against this Ole Miss lineup right now that has 9 homers in its last 18 games, and highlighted by Lexi Brady. And Brady again having another fantastic season for Ole Miss. 10 homers this season. And a Ole Miss offense and roster, honestly, with 16 newcomers. 8 of them transfers from other Division I schools, and of course the other 8 are freshmen. And Taylor Malvin takes a first pitch strike from McCann. Johns Creek, Georgia native, hitting over 300 this season. Taylor Malvin. She's producing more this year than she ever has at Ole Miss. And sometimes Missy is just that upperclassman effect, right? The first 2 years, Malvin was basically just a pinch runner. Now they needed her to step up this season. Here she is hitting over 300.
Well, yeah, but she's worked on her craft, and that's something that head coach Jamie Traxel has talked about, is how much extra work that Malvin has put in to get herself into this lineup.
McCann gets her to swing and miss. Strikeout number 1 for McCann. And 69 total now for McCann on the season. Here's the defense for the Tigers. Kohler, Cahalan, and Abrascato in the outfield. Updegrove and Smith up the middle. Daly and Walker in the corners. And Crenshaw back behind the dish today for Missouri. There, Boutte at the plate. Sees it high from McCann. Missed the first 17 games this season, Boutte. She was recovering from some injuries that she suffered last season when she was at Houston. Began her career at Tennessee. Played 2 years in Knoxville.
She's got such a great eye at the plate, and we've talked about her on-base percentage and her average. kind of getting a little bit back into the normal range, normal high range, I should say, with the constant, being constant in the lineup.
Threatening the pull and foul grounds, leaping to make the catch is Kohler. 2 away for Ole Miss here in the first.
Yeah, what a great play by Kohler. Just going deep on this ball and being able to catch it at the warning track. I think she thought she was a little bit closer to the fence than what she was, but a great effort nonetheless.
Whether you rob a foul ball or a home run, it's all the same. Still 2 outs.
That's right.
Brings up Aaliyah Binford. Transferred from Baylor. Wanted to send that to another universe. Nothing in one to start.
Well, and we've seen her do it this year, that's for sure.
2-way player for Ole Miss. Leads the Rebels in hits and doubles. Over 30 RBIs too this season. And another dart thrown by McCann. Making her 53rd career appearance inside the circle. Her 22nd career start too for Mizzou. 0-2's fouled off. McCann was really good last year for Missouri. 6 starts, 32 appearances. ERA was 187 in 82 innings of work. Only walked 19 batters, struck out 51. What a freshman campaign. And this year she's carrying herself more like an ace. Binford continues to battle.
Oh, we see why she gets what typically would be the Friday night start, right?
Yeah.
But the first game of the series start for Missouri.
She can thank Mother Nature for that.
Right.
Playing a doubleheader today. In the air to right center. And Cahalan makes the catch. Ole Miss goes in order in their first offensive outing today. They can and raise awareness. And I think it's amazing that the SEC has been doing this. But, of course, both teams were going to wear teal yesterday. Mother Nature washed us out, so now they're just wearing it all day today, which is even better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember when that happened, and she had such an impact at Mississippi State.
Flown out to left, and Jaden Pone takes care of Abrascato to begin this second inning.
To expand on that, just the dedication and the commitment and how she still wanted to be out there and compete and be there for her teammates. I mean, it was just amazing. So I'm so glad that the SEC and the softball teams have decided to continue on her legacy by having a day where they represent her.
Madison Updegrove at the plate. A couple of freshmen going toe-to-toe here. Will probably be the first of many battles for Updegrove and Miley Wichenio. Updegrove from Columbia, one of 2 players on this Tigers roster from the hometown of Missouri. When you grow up rooting for the Tigers and they give you a call, of course you're going to listen.
Oh, heck yeah. And again, that's what Larissa Anderson talked about with, looking in your backyard first, because not only do these young ladies grow up Mizzou fans, but when they get there, that brings everybody else, family, friends, and the whole 9 yards to support Missouri softball.
Hitting .246 in her freshman season. Pair of homers. Oh, fouled that off our home plate umpire, Destiny Robinson.
Well, that's a good morning. Wakey, wakey.
Not saying she was sleepwalking before, but if she was, she's awake now.
Absolutely.
And now they're going to give Destiny Robinson some time. Dave Reinecker As for the softball from Huicheño, and they just want to double check to make sure Destiny's okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She did get a shot.
Counts 2-2. And a little loop to right center. And Mackenzie Pickens makes the catch. Of the 5 outs that Huicheño's had so far, Missy, they've all been a flyout or a pop-out of some sort.
Yeah, absolutely. That tells me that Huicheño's rise ball is working and the hitters from Missouri are getting underneath it enough to fly out.
There's Addie Kohler. She's had a hit in 3 straight games for Missouri. And of course, in all those 3 games, rather, she's started. First career starts. She's 5 for 12 at the plate. Also had hits in games 2 and 3 against Oklahoma last weekend. She's also 1 for 2 earlier this week in a midweek loss against Kansas. A 3-0 loss to Kansas. Missouri was shut out for the first time this season earlier this week. Fouls off the bunt. 1-2. And of course, Missouri taking 1 of 2 against Oklahoma last weekend. Ended the Sooners' 31-game win streak.
Yeah, huge win for Missouri.
1-2. Swing and a miss. And the freshman who leads the SEC in strikeouts gets her first of the day. Missouri goes in order in the second. Ole Miss, and to begin her collegiate career, she's reached base in 28 of 32 games. She also leads Ole Miss with 34 RBIs this season. Missy, we talked about the youth movement for Ole Miss. 8 freshmen, 3 of them consistently play, and you can see why. We'll just say that, and Percy Yamas is one of them.
Oh, absolutely. She has such a great eye for the strike zone. And how many freshmen can say that they're batting cleanup for an SEC school?
I don't think many.
Not at all.
Find it even more impressive. See those numbers there, but she's only struck out twice this entire season. She's the toughest to strike out in the SEC.
Well, like I said, she's got such a great eye for the strike zone.
2 strikeouts every 45 at-bats. That sounds easier than it is. I promise. 1-1.
Well, let's hope we didn't jinx her.
Yeah, I'm worried about that right now. And Marissa McCann's capable, too. She was a beast against Kansas earlier this week. 5 shutout innings in that 3-0 loss. Struck out 6, didn't walk anybody either. Now 3-1 to Yamas. Can you teach plate discipline, or is it just something natural that college players have, Missy?
I think it's just paying attention during the game and learning the zone of the umpires and just, being confident in your abilities.
Fly out to left. Kohler takes care of it. Out number 1 here in the second. And that wind's blowing out towards left field today. We've seen a couple of fly balls out there. It doesn't seem like the wind's helped carry anything out that much. But it is blowing out in that direction today. And it could be a factor with this young woman at the plate. Lexi Brady, 10 homers this season. Second time in her career she's recorded 10 or more homers. Ole Miss leader in average slugging percentage, total bases. Also hit by pitch. One of 2 four-year returners for Ole Miss this year. That's something before the transfer portal era would have just been unheard of.
Well, it just shows her commitment to Ole Miss and Jamie Traxel and this program. And, you know, we talked a little bit about it before the broadcast, but, you know, Lexi Brady over the past couple of years has struggled in SEC play, and she has just turned it on this year and done such a great job, and it shows with the leadership.
Up the sleeve of Daly and into left field for Lexi Brady, and Ole Miss gets their first base runner today. This is why they call it the hot corner.
Oh, absolutely. That ball's down and out in the zone, and she just pulls it to Daly's left. Daly unable to come up with it. And Ole Miss has their first base runner of the game.
They give Brady the hit. 29 now for Brady this season. And Pickens steps up, the freshman, hitting .381. .381 average is second highest rather for Ole Miss, right behind Lexi Brady, who she's protecting.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about the freshman. You have a freshman protecting a senior in the lineup, and Mackenzie Pickens has just done a phenomenal job this year.
Off speed by McCann, 1-1. 7 multi-hit games this year for Pickens. Had her career-long 7-game hit streak snapped in the finale against Kentucky last weekend. Ole Miss dropped 2 of 3. Jamie Traxel even said, too, that was just an odd series. Kentucky had a lot of things bounce their way. The Wildcats walked off Ole Miss in extras on Friday night. Rebels bounced back Saturday.
And they had the game. They were winning the game
on Sunday.
And
thrown out to center. Cahalan's been busy out there today.
Yeah, absolutely. She's gotten 2 of the 5 outs so far. Cahalan and Kohler.
Yeah. Brings up Jaden Pone. Like you were saying, Ole Miss was leading that Sunday, and Kentucky made a late push. They wound up taking the series.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like Coach Jamie Traxel said, it just fell Kentucky's way.
A solo home run for Kentucky broke a 2-2 tie in the 5th. Then the Wildcats got an insurance run in the 6th. They went up 4-2. And Ole Miss had the tying run at the plate. It was actually Pickens. She just couldn't capitalize. Just got under a pitch. It's a routine fly ball. And Pone rips it to her own dugout. Heads up. Almost took out one of her graduate assistants. Everyone's okay. And the pen got stuck in the hair, too.
Yeah, I think so.
Needed assistance for that. Can't relate.
It's a little short on you.
I actually need it cut. Here's the 1-1.
No.
Pone has the 4th highest average on Ole Miss this season. See that topic change there? That was good.
Yeah. Good job.
Still one of Ole Miss's most consistent hitters this season, too. A liner in the left, base hit. 2 hits this inning for the Rebels. They have runners on first and second base. Jaden Pone's 27th this season.
Yeah, she does a great job. And, we've talked about Jaden Pone being able to slap and put the ball in play, but we've seen a lot of power out of her this year.
It's something she's been working on, too, in the offseason. Now she gives way to, it looks like, Ole Miss is going to have a pinch hitter in for Starr.
Tinley Grisham.
Yeah, Tenley Grisham, number 25. Did hit against Kentucky last weekend. She was 0 for 3. The entire weekend, had one at bat in every game. 5 hits this season for the sophomore. This is at bat number 23 for her. Big spot early here, Missy. Runners on first and second. 2 down.
Yeah, absolutely. Tinley Grisham with a lot of speed that can put the ball in play and put pressure on this Missouri defense.
Jamie Traxel trusting her sophomore at the plate, who has 1 RBI this year. Missouri at 1-5 in conference play. Ole Miss 3-3. You see McCann's strikes just up on the upper left of your screen a moment ago. Nothing in 2. What do you look for here in an 0-2 count? 2 on, 2 outs.
She's just got to put the ball in play. Put the ball in play, use her speed to try and put some pressure on the defense. You know, Lexi Brady has got wheels. You got wheels at first. So just pressure Missouri defense to make a solid play.
Just misses for McCann. Grisham continues to fight. If you're McCann here, what's your mentality or mindset?
Well, I mean, she's ahead in the count, so she's got pitches to be able to work with. And, you know, trying to get her to swing at a pitcher's pitch. And we see an off-speed pitch there. It's a good job by Crenshaw to block that ball up. Otherwise, you got Ole Miss moving up 60 feet.
Grisham was primarily a pinch runner last year. This is just her 17th game this season. Back to McCann, and easy work. Ole Miss strands 2 in the second, still scoreless. Goes in the Big 12. And they also did it, Missy, in front of nearly 4,200 fans. It was a program best for them. And just a fantastic day overall. But Larissa Anderson said they've gone through peaks and valleys. Obviously, that was a peak. And now in a little bit of a valley here if you're Missouri, having dropped your last 2, including getting shut out at Kansas or against Kansas earlier this week. 1-5 in SEC play. Trying to get something going in their 3rd weekend of conference play. Sophie Smith leads us off.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's so far so good. You know, you got a great outing so far by Marissa McCann, and they just got to find a way to get some runners on base. Oh, definitely Huacheño is not going to make it easy on him.
Now Huacheño, the freshman star for Ole Miss, that leads the SEC in strikeouts. She only has 1 so far. And up against another fellow freshman, and Sophie Smith for Missouri, who's started now the last 5 games and 10 in her career. And leaves it high. Smith is from Texas, Spring, Texas. Klein Oak High School. Named her district's offensive MVP, also named All-State. That's tough to do in Texas. A lot of really good talent there. Off the inner part of the bat, near the dugout. She'll get another shot, 2-2. Mentioned Smith has started now the last 5 games. She's 2 for 8 in her previous 4 coming into today.
Come in hard, JP.
Swings and misses, strike 3. Back to back now for Uchenyo inside the circle.
Well, Uchenyo does such a great job of mixing pitches. Here you see her throw a rise ball on the inside part of the plate. Such a tough pitch to catch up with. And Sophie Smith, second strikeout for Uchenyo.
Jamie Traxel was telling us about Miley Uchenyo that when they recruited her, they didn't, obviously she didn't look this good inside the circle, right? They knew she was going to be very good for them. But it wasn't until the summer coming into this fall that they watched her pitch in travel ball, and they said, oh, she's gotten a lot better. She looks really, really good.
Well, I think you also need to throw some credit Nancy Evans' way. I mean, she is one talented pitching coach, and just the success that she's had, not only as a player and a coach, but just to be able to, you know, make this staff and especially freshman Miley Uchenyo that much better out in the circle.
Claire Cahalan, sophomore, hitting .273 coming into today. Was a .167 hitter her freshman year back in 2024. She fouls it off. Cahalan was a highly touted recruit coming into Missouri, the number 33 ranked recruit in the country. Extra innings ranked her that. Led Northside High School to a regional title and a state championship back in her prep days.
Well, and quite the family too. Her sister, Mary Beth, plays at Delaware, and then her cousin, Kenley, plays softball at Florida. So a little bit of a softball tradition in that Cahalan family.
It's kind of how it goes sometimes. And Uchenyo walks her. Second base runner today for Missouri via the free pass. Uchenyo hit Kara Daly back in the first inning. So this is where it gets interesting for Missouri. Missy, a team that's hitting .262 with runners on base, .267 with them in scoring position. And Larissa Anderson talked a lot about this. With runners on base, they need to produce. That's the concern for them this weekend.
Well, what better person would you want up to the plate right now than Julia Crenshaw? She's just been on fire lately.
Good block by Lexi Brady behind the plate for the Rebels. Crenshaw flew out to center, all the way out to the warning track.
She's just been amazing in conference play, hitting .400 and, you know, with 3 home runs and 6 RBIs. So this would be a huge out for Ole Miss.
Runner goes, throw down, is it time? Brady guns down Cahalan. Now number 2 for Mizzou in the third.
Great job by Lexi Brady. It was actually an off-speed pitch. Low in the zone, Lexi Brady fires from her knees, able to get Cahalan at second. It's a big out for Ole Miss.
Missouri's not really a team that steals either.
No, not at all. So kind of shocking, especially with Crenshaw up at the plate, but Missouri trying to do whatever they can to put runners in scoring position to give themselves a chance.
However, Cahalan now 7 for 9 in stolen base attempts this season. Just the second time she's been caught. In fact, it's Cahalan and Crenshaw that have the majority of the stolen bases for Mizzou this season. But Lexi Brady making a statement early.
Absolutely, and honestly, you don't see too many catchers that have the wheels like that of a Crenshaw.
She thought that was ball 4. Missouri fans in attendance not thrilled with that call.
Well, I'm not going to say that I can't blame her. I was a little bit up in the zone, inside, but full count now here for Crenshaw.
Hearing a lot of MIZ chants today in Oxford. Back up the middle, base hit. 39th hit this season for Crenshaw. And she's on with a 2-out single.
Yeah, just a changeup here, which is usually a good strikeout pitch for Huacheño, but Crenshaw just sits on it and drives it right back up the middle for the first base hit of the game for Missouri.
And up comes the sophomore, Madison Walker. She, too, flew out to center field her first time up. Nearly left the ballpark in her last at-bat. She already has 13 homers this season. You see it's second in the SEC, 11th in all of Division I.
If she keeps on this pace, she's going to break the single season record of 20 that's been set by Amanda Remp back in 2008.
Record's been standing for a long time, since 08.
Yeah, that is a long time.
Now 0-2. Walker was 0 for 2 against Kansas earlier this week. Grounded into a double play, also walked in that midweek loss. He peeled on the first base, and Walker did not go around. What's Huacheño trying to do? 2 pitches upstairs.
Yeah, she's trying to set her up for that changeup. And, you know, when you get ahead in the count like that, you can play a little bit in the zone. And don't be surprised if you see that changeup here from Huacheño.
On the ground, past the diving De Leon. Back-to-back singles with 2 away for Missouri. It comes from their top 2 hitters in the lineup, and that brings up Kara Daly. So Ole Miss stranded 2 with runners on first and second base in the bottom half of the second, and now here in the third, you've got Missouri in the same position. Runners on first and second, 2 outs.
Well, and now that stolen base is a big issue, right?
Yeah, now you play that what-if game, and that's
right.
You
Yep.
you were a coach at this level. You can't think like that, right? I mean, it's for the fans to think about, and for us talking heads to think about. The coaches and players got to move on.
That's it. I mean, it's ifs and buts, right? And you know, you can't second guess yourself. You got to go with your gut. And obviously, you're right. We can sit up here and talk about it all day long, but at the end of the day, you know, that's an out. And now Missouri's got to try and manufacture something here with runners at first and second and Kara Daly up.
220 games played, 6th in all of Division I among active players. And again, a Missouri team that struggles with runners on base, hitting .262. They were shut out against Kansas earlier this week. The Tigers were 1 for 11 with runners on base. Ouch. 1 for 6 with them in scoring position. Cut on and missed.
Well, that was a big cut by Kara Daly, trying to make this a 3-run game.
Can you blame her?
Not really.
Swing and a miss. And now Missouri strands 2, this time in the third after back-to-back singles.
Yeah, a big strikeout here by Huacheño, getting Kara Daly, and she's late. End of the inning for Missouri.
It's part of a quadruple header on the SEC Network featuring 5 ranked teams. Number 21 Ole Miss starts it off as the Rebels visit number 11 South Carolina at noon Eastern, and it's capped off by Missouri hosting number 1 Texas. A lot of softball being played in the SEC Network, also on your ESPN app. It's that time of year, fun time of year too.
Absolutely, it doesn't get any better than this, that's for sure.
Obviously, these two have to get past each other in order to look forward to next weekend. Missouri 1-5 in conference play. Ole Miss 3-3. Angelina De Leon takes strike one, hitting 9th in this Ole Miss lineup. Her and Lexi Brady, the only two four-year returners back this season for the Rebels. Now she's down quickly, 0-2. She said the community really brought her back, the Oxford community. And when she commits somewhere, she wants to be there. She owed it to herself, her family, her coaches that brought her here to stay and stick this out. Because things haven't been great for Ole Miss. A team that won just 7 SEC games last year. They didn't make the regional, but they were one of the last teams in. They don't want that to be the case this year. They want to be in. They don't want to have to sweat on selection day.
Right.
Last year they were sweating.
Yeah, absolutely.
De Leon gets a piece of it out of play.
And I think that's important. You know, you create that family atmosphere, and it's tough at times, especially with the transfer portal and how easy it is now for kids to just skip out and go to another program. And I mean, really, you got to look at Angelina De Leon and Lexi Brady and look at their commitment to Ole Miss. And even though at times it has been a struggle.
De Leon with a high drive. And caught. The SEC preseason poll, too, coming into this season. Of course, you have your usuals, Texas, Florida, Oklahoma, Tennessee, A&M in the top 5. But you got this Ole Miss team that was picked second to last. And how about South Carolina? They were picked last, and now they're number 10 in the country right now.
Yeah, you know, and honestly, you can't really hold a lot of, you know, into those preseason polls because like you look at Ole Miss and all the changes that they made with all of the new players, and nobody can look at how they're going to impact this team like they have. And so, you know, you got to take that with a grain of salt. It's just, it is what it is, and you can use it as fuel to your fire.
Malvin chases upstairs. Then you also have players like Taylor Malvin, who wasn't a contributor last season, one of 4 position players that returned from the Rebels last season, and now she's having the best year of her career.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, it's dedication to your craft. We've talked about it a lot last year, primarily a pinch runner for Ole Miss. Now you see her in the starting lineup.
And McCann catches Malvin looking. McCann has 2 strikeouts today, and she struck out Taylor Malvin twice.
And McCann just doing a great job of working both sides of the plate, all quadrants of the zone, and we're seeing an excellent pitching duel on both sides.
Yeah, Marissa McCann struggled against Oklahoma last weekend in Game 1, allowed 7 earned runs in 4 1/3 innings. But then again, you're pitching against Oklahoma. They're no slouch,
That's
obviously.
Right. That's right. That's right.
4-time reigning national champs. But again, you look at that Kansas outing, too. She was really good. 6 strikeouts, tie career high, 5 innings of work. So far today against Ole Miss, 2 Ks and 2 1/3. There, Boutte looks at strike 2.
That's a pretty drop ball. Just falls right off the table, hits the bottom of the zone.
And Boutte fouls it off to the seats. Mentioned Boutte coming back from recovering from her injuries that she played through last year at Houston. Torn labrum and a bicep tear, and she still hit .336.
Wow.
At 8 homers, 26 ribbies.
Well, we've got a good taste of how good she really is. Oh, Head coach Jamie Traxel put her in the lineup early on, and she's been a mainstay. Started down in the lineup. Now she's batting in the number 2 slot. You can't take out somebody who's hitting 417, right?
You can't. Well, and you always wonder, will I be the same player after
I mean,
after
that's
injuries?
a significant injury.
Yeah. Young woman who's battled a ton of adversity. Again, began her career at Tennessee. Spent 2 years there. Played very well. Then went to Houston. And Jamie Traxel tried to recruit Boutte in high school. Then Boutte hit the portal. Jamie Traxel gives her a call. Lair goes to Houston. And Lair then hits the portal. Guess who called?
Third time's a charm, right?
Yeah. And Lair Boutte said, you know, I think I owe it to Jamie Traxel to give her my offer a year. Here's pitch number 7 at the at-bat. Continues to fight.
McCann with a change-up offering there that Boutte doesn't bite on. Now we got 2 deuces on the board.
From 0-2 to 3-2. Driven to left center. Long run off the wall. Cahalan plays it off the bounce. Boutte's into second base. 2-out double. And her 6th this season.
Yeah, just a great job of hitting by Lair Boutte. This pitch is a little bit up in the zone. She keeps her hands up and drives this to the wall. A good job by Cahalan to get the ball in, but Boutte slides in safely for a double.
Now she gives way to Aaliyah Binford, also new to Ole Miss this season. Baylor transfer. And was named the best 2-way player of the nation by D1 softball in the preseason coming into this year. Hard hit ball on the ground, up the sleeve of Updegrove. Boutte hits third as it squirts into left. Ole Miss leads.
Yeah, big mistake by Updegrove. Tries to backhand this ball. Goes off of her glove into shallow left field, giving Boutte a chance to score from second base. Ole Miss leads 1-0.
And Coach Anderson out to the circle to have a chat with Marissa McCann. And they do give Binford the hit. So now that's 4 hits allowed by McCann and 2 1/3. But everything was going well, Missy, until she allowed the double to Boutte, and then Binford just got a good swing on her last at bat.
Yeah, she really did. She really has. And honestly, pretty much everything that comes off of Binford's bat is hard. And so, you know, I honestly think that Updegrove could have come up with that ball and at least knocked it down to prevent that run to score from second base.
Percy Yamas flew out to left her first time up back in the second. They give Binford the RBI single, and she advanced to second base on the throw home. Yamas leads Ole Miss in RBIs this season with 34. That was Aaliyah Binford's 32nd this season.
Well, and I was just going to say, it doesn't get any easier for McCann with Percy Yamas and then Lexi Brady on deck. Really has to be careful here.
And Ole Miss has done this with 2 outs.
This is a good old-fashioned 2-out rally, right?
Yamas hitting .514 with runners on base this season. Wow, she's a freshman.
Yeah.
Down the line, just barely fouled. I was gonna say, the average was only gonna go up if that was fair.
Right.
She's had a hit in 10 of her last 12 games, including the last 3 games. Had a hit all last weekend in those 3 games against Kentucky.
Well, McCann has room to play here with the count 1 and 2, and so she needs to be smart.
Yamas went and got it. Now 1 and 2. It's one of the toughest hitters to strike out in the conference and in the country. This is what's fun about softball, the one-on-one between pitcher and batter, the cat and mouse game.
Absolutely.
Yamas under and out to left. And Kohler makes the squeeze. Out number 3, Ole Miss with a double and a single with 2 outs to go up 1-0 on Missouri. Miley Bucheño's a star, moving into top 10 single season, most strikeouts in program history. Missy, and the most since 2019 by an Ole Miss pitcher. She's got 3 today. Gets her up to, what, 137 on the season?
Well, that's pretty good company right there with Molly Jacobson. You know, it's just been so impressed with what Miley Bucheño has done this season, and you know, every opportunity that she's been given, she's taken advantage of and just grown and become better. And like I said earlier, Ole Miss has just really set her up for success, especially in the toughest conference in the country, in the SEC.
Faces Taylor Ebbs, and misses low and away. What's the toughest transition from high school to SEC softball?
The transition from high school to SEC softball. I mean,
only you would know.
I mean, it's just the speed of the game is so much faster, and you know, when you're in high school, you may have a couple of players on your team that are good, but when you get to SEC play, everybody's good, and so you have to have your A game, A+ game, every time you step out into the field, and especially if you're a pitcher and you step out into that circle.
Well, when I talk to folks about SEC softball, I basically just say, look, it's professional. I mean, this is as close to professional feel that softball is that you're going to get.
No,
I know now there are professional softball leagues, but
right. But I mean, you're right. It's just you know, day in and day out, the competition of the SEC and playing these programs is just it not only makes you better, but it also you know, you just got to bring it. You just got to bring it.
The pace of the game, the passion of the fan bases.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at what Missouri did last weekend and their victory against Oklahoma and the record-setting crowd that was there. Now, the addition of Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC has just, you know, it was great to begin with. Now it just sets it up to another level.
Taylor Ebbs down on strikes. 4th strikeout for Bucheño today. And Abrascato steps up, 0 for 1 today.
You know, to kind of expand on that with you know, the changing of conferences and no longer the Pac-12. You know, the Pac-12 used to be the premier conference of the country when it came to softball. And the effort and the money that SEC has put into softball has just really changed the game.
That was a screamer off the bat of Abrascato to Pickens. She fielded it on the hopper, out number 2. You would know, you played in the Pac-12.
Well, it wasn't the Pac-12 back then.
But yeah, UCLA, very successful career.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
It was a long time ago, but very proud times.
Madison Updegrove steps up, 2 away from Missouri here in the 4th, down 1-0 to Ole Miss. Updegrove's 0 for 1 today with 2 outs in the bottom half of the 3rd. Ole Miss got a double from Lair Boutte and an RBI single from Aaliyah Binford. That put the Rebels up 1-0.
Honestly, it breaks my heart that there's no more Pac-12. And Nancy Evans and I talked about it at the beginning of the season. Both Pac-12ers, and you know, to not have a Pac-12 conference anymore, it's just like, it's heartbreaking because that was such a tradition.
At least UCLA still exists, so that's good.
Yes, they do, but it's odd when you see them, like they're playing Maryland this weekend at Maryland, and you're like, what? That's like non-conference stuff, you know?
Swing and a miss. Miley Wachenio's got 5 now, 2 in this 4th inning.
So we see why Wachenio is the leader in the SEC in strikeouts. Here she uses that rise ball to set down Updegrove. Oh, absolutely. She has just been on fire this year, and it's just been such a treat to watch her. And you know that the opponents are on pins and needles every time she steps up to the plate.
Again, a 4-year returner for Ole Miss, 1 of 2 on this roster. That's had just a lot of turnover in these last couple of years. Players transferring in, transferring out. Back-to-back years now, too, for Lexi Brady, where she's had a whole new assistant coaching staff.
Right.
Jamie Traxel recruited her to Minnesota. Coach Traxel gets the job in Oxford. Lexi Brady follows suit. They've just been tied together since Brady's prep career days back in South Dakota. And her travel ball team in South Dakota was actually coached by one of her friend's dads who knew nothing about the sport. He was a football coach. And he just coached the team because the girls love to play. And Brady flies this out to center. First steps back for Cahalan, and why could you blame her? Comes in to make the catch. What a fun story for Lexi Brady. We've got all weekend, well, all day to talk about it.
Right. Normally all weekend.
Normally all weekend, but washed out yesterday. Doubleheader today. Missy Dickerson, Jay Cremata with you. David Dillard directing, Jim Holder producing. The rest of our fantastic crew today, best in the SEC, taking care of us. Who knows, maybe Mackenzie Pickens, who's at the plate now, can become the next Lexi Brady. She has 4 homers this season and set Buford High School's career home runs and RBIs record. Not many kids can say that they homered in their final at bat of their high school career. Well, Mackenzie Pickens can say that she homered in her last 2. In fact, her and her twin sister went back-to-back in the state championship her high school season, her senior high school year. And that's really special to do with your twin sister.
Oh, for sure. But look at those stats. 600. That's amazing.
Yeah, she's stuffing them, that's for sure. Pickens won back-to-back 7A state titles in Georgia, including a 32-0 senior season. And her twin sister Madison, once again, she's at Louisville. They only took 1 visit together, which I thought was interesting. Other than that, they had very different recruiting processes.
Well, you know, a lot of times you see twins, they want to be a package deal, or sisters. Wow, what a shot. What a great job by McCann to field that ball and throw Mackenzie Pickens out at first base.
Wow. And McCann's teammates coming in to check on her. This was a screamer.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if she got her glove up or it was off the hip or what, but whatever. Yep, off the hip. But a great job to stay with that and make the play.
It's when you're grateful for all those leg days in the preseason.
And right away she says, I'm good.
Marissa McCann stays in there, the sophomore. And now faces Jaden Pone for Ole Miss. 2 away for the Rebels here in the 4th inning. Game 1 of our doubleheader today. As Pone rips his single left. And easy for Kohler. And Ole Miss goes in order after scoring the lone run of the ball game in the 3rd.
Change up.
Again, strikeouts by inning. She's had 4 in the previous 2. Is it just has it been working for her lately? Did she go to those pitches earlier? What is it about innings 3 and 4 that she was able to get 2 of 3 batters?
Well, I think, it's just a matter of getting ahead of the Missouri hitters and being able to set them up for the rise ball or the changeup. And we've seen her do such a great job of that all year long.
Pop up by Kohler. And Starr, the shortstop, makes the catch out number 1. Missouri has 2 hits today. Those were back in the 3rd inning. And they stranded Crenshaw and Walker on first and second base. Other than that, they've been quieted today by Huizenga.
I think it's important for Missouri to not get down in the count. So, usually the first strike that you see is the best pitch you're going to see. And they just need to capitalize on that.
Sophie Smith takes high. She struck out back in the 3rd. JP, 1 over. This is her 5th straight start, Smith. And 10th to begin her college career. And with Huizenga, she was Ole Miss's highest ranked recruit coming into this season. She was the 9th ranked recruit in the country by extra inning softball. Number 44 recruit overall in the nation. They knew she was going to be good, but this good.
Well, you never know until they get here. And I think it's important that she's just worked with Nancy Evans and refined her skills. And, just like I said earlier, they have set her up for success and all the reps that she got at the beginning of the season out in the circle and the starts. And it's paying off because as we talked with Missouri, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
There's number 6 today.
It's all about setting up these hitters, and here that inside rise ball is just such a tough pitch to hit. And Sophie Smith goes down for her second strikeout of the day.
Well, now you're thinking, is Miley close to her career high? No. She needs 13 more to reach that, which is, again, having 19 strikeouts in a game is just absurd. But Huizenga's done it. Cahalan hitting 9th in this Missouri lineup, walked back in the 3rd. She's one of 2 free passes that Huizenga has allowed today.
Right now, let's go. Up.
She gets under this to center. Easy for Malvin. Missouri goes in order and back-to-back innings. Those Arkansas Razorbacks rolling. And should be a important one for them. Also important one for Missouri baseball too. Trying to sneak out a couple of wins in Fayetteville. Will be tough, but with SEC baseball, you just never say never. Same with SEC softball. Never say never. You get Missouri taking 1 of 2 against Oklahoma last weekend. And you got Mississippi State earlier this week beating #1 Texas. They've got a rubber match today.
Yeah, they played a doubleheader on Friday because of the weather. Smart decision.
And Ryan Starr is at the plate. This is her first at-bat today, despite starting the game. Tenley Grisham came in to pinch hit for Starr back in the second inning. And Jamie Trexel re-entering Starr.
Boy, our home plate umpire today, Destiny Robinson, is taking a beating behind the dish. Just took one off the arm, I believe.
Cut out and miss, goes to the backstop, Starr's on the run, and Crenshaw throws her out. Third K today for McCann. Honestly, Missy, for McCann, she just had that third inning with 2 outs. She allowed back-to-back hits. That's been your ball game so far. She's been great around that third inning.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I don't think it's her fault. I think that, yeah, the ball was hit hard, but I just believe that Upton Grove should have at least knocked that ball down and kept it from going out into the shallow left field. And that's the story of the game.
Angelina De Leon. Down 0-1. She flew out to left field her first time up. And McCann, too, you see her bio and you think, oh, she's from Arizona. She actually grew up in Columbia.
I saw that.
Dreamed about playing at Mizzou. That's the theme for a lot of these players from Missouri. And it's so cool to read about.
Absolutely. I think that's amazing.
A lot of these Tigers have grown up and they're playing for their dream school. And it's always cool to see other people live out their dream. And of course, McCann in that same spot. Moved to Arizona when she was 13. Just hoped one day she'd be able to get back to Columbia to play for the Tigers. They have pictures of her when she was younger, too, in Missouri gear, right? It's just...
Comes full circle
Yeah.
sometimes, doesn't it?
3-2 to De Leon. In fact, she's taken some nights to herself just to drive past her childhood home. She ever needs to go down memory lane. Called strike 3 to De Leon. Back-to-back now for McCann. Give her 4 now in the afternoon.
Wow, just a nice pitch at the bottom of the zone. I think that De Leon felt that that ball was low, but looking at the side, it looked like it went right across the knees.
And out to the circle comes Larissa Anderson. So 4 of them now for McCann. Now over 70 Ks this season. What do you think this is about, Missy?
I don't know, because I thought she waved to the bullpen and was going to make a change, but just came out to visit with McCann. Maybe she's got 2 Ks of Malvin so far, but making sure she's okay and needs to keep going and everything's working.
And we are playing a doubleheader today. How does that impact who you put out on the circle and things like that and that strategy?
Well,
Or does it at all? Or
I think you got to play for the game, and you got to go out and you got to try and win this game here today, and then, or the first game of the doubleheader, and then go from there. Especially if you're Missouri, you need to get the victories and set your team up for success. And I think that McCann has done that.
This is just unfortunate.
She's going to
For
need some
poor
Tylenol after
poor-
this game.
Poor Destiny Robinson has just taken shot after shot.
That's 2 shots now to the face and
Oh.
1 to the arm.
Missy, go throw on the umpire mask and get down there and
no,
help her
thank
out,
you.
will you?
No,
No?
No. I have enough critics. I don't need to add any more.
And it's, the other umpires, too, are saying, well, if she's getting beaten up back there, then, I think we're going to stay out here.
I think they're feeling better her than me.
William Lopez Pellet at first today. Dave Reinecker's our crew chief. He's at third. Malvin's down in an 0-2 count. She struck out twice today. Up high, 2-2. Malvin was 2 for 11 last weekend against Kentucky. However, she recorded her first career triple in the series finale. This is year 3 for her at Ole Miss. Was mainly a primary pinch runner until this season, fouls it off. Player who patiently waited for her opportunity. When she got it, she grabbed it, held on to it, and she's not letting go.
Yeah, but I think the thing that you have to admire about her is that she's worked hard at it. It's not like she just expected it to come to her.
Serves it up the middle for her first hit today and her 24th on the season.
Yeah, just a great job by Malvin. That pitch is on the inside part of the plate. She inside outs it to center field. First hit of the day, and that's called making adjustments after striking out twice.
Lair Boutte steps up now in a pretty familiar situation. Back in the third inning, Ole Miss scored 1 run on 2 outs. On back-to-back hits. Boutte got that 2-out rally started in the third. She can keep this one going here in the 5th. And a long, lengthy at-bat, too, for Boutte back in the third inning. It was 0-2. She battled back 3-2. Then ripped one off the left center field wall. You got the speedster Malvin at first base. She's stolen 8 bags this season. And if you're an ace here too, Missy, with 2 outs, you got to figure out a way to get off the field if you're McCann.
Oh, absolutely, and you're down in the count right now to Boutte, which is not something you want to do. Because she hit that double off the wall her last at bat.
Did not mean to do that. That was an oopsie. And Boutte smiling back to her dugout, 2-1. So it should be 3-0. It's now 2-1.
Well, we talked about it the last time Boutte was up. It doesn't get any easier for McCann. So you want to try and set Boutte down, especially with the speedy Malvin at first base. Anything in the gap, and she's scoring.
Rips it into right. Malvin hits second base. She's on her way to third, and the throw's cut off. Ole Miss has runners on the corners with 2 outs here in the 5th.
And that's exactly what Boutte has to do. She gets ahead in the count, gets a hitter's pitch, and just drives it out to right field. Ole Miss now has runners on the corners with 2 outs.
Aaliyah Binford hit Lair Boutte home back in the third inning for the game's only run. And now Binford steps in, 2 outs and 2 on the corners here in this 5th inning. Game 1 of our doubleheader today, series finales tomorrow. And Binford skies this out to center, and Cahalan settles under it, makes the catch, and McCann gets off the field without allowing a run. Still 1-0 Ole Miss on top of Missouri. It's on a 2-out double. We were washed out yesterday, so a doubleheader today, series finale tomorrow on SEC Network. It's Mic'd Up Monday. Jamie Traxel will be mic'd up. And that wind continues to gust out towards left. Hasn't been a factor today, shockingly. In the past, it has been at this venue.
Oh, and we've seen some pretty high and deep balls hit that have stayed in the park.
Julia Crenshaw leads off this 6th inning for Missouri. Has one of her team's 2 hits today, her and Madison Walker. And Walker is on deck. And this is off the end of the bat into right. Pickens, the second baseman, takes care of it. And Miley Wacheno's just done a heck of a job inside the circle today. She's struck out 6 missies. She allowed those 2 hits back in the 3rd inning, but that's been her only bugaboo today. 2 free passes, but didn't come back to haunt her.
Yeah, she's done a tremendous job. And like I said, just working all 4 quadrants, keeping the Missouri hitters off balance. And we talked about it at the beginning where Missouri has just struggled this season, stringing hits together and pushing runs across.
Yeah, Larissa Anderson told us earlier this week about how Missouri's just struggled with runners on base. Well, they haven't really had the chance today to hit with runners on base because Wacheno's just been so good. And you notice there 8 flyouts to 1 ground out. What's the case with that?
Well, they're just getting underneath her rise ball, and she's been using it so effectively, hitting the top of the zone and then coming in and mixing in with that changeup.
Yeah, Wacheno's ahead 1-2. Got her. Strikeout number 7 for Wacheno today.
And that ball is not close to the strike zone. Just Madison Walker trying to do too much and putting pressure on herself, and commits. And that is a strikeout for her for the day.
Well, last weekend at Kentucky, it was a weekend that Wacheno would like to forget and also bounce back from. So far, she has. As she faces Cara Daly, hitting 3rd in this Missouri lineup. Wacheno allowed a career-high 6 earned runs in Game 1 of that Kentucky series. Allowed 6 hits, 2 homers. Did get the save, however, in Game 2. And Game 3 took the loss.
Well, and I think that if there's any nemesis of Miley Wacheno, it's her Sunday outings. That she's struggled just a little bit. And not sure if it's, hey, I need more rest, or, you know, they've seen me once now and make the adjustments. But, you know, you can't take anything away from her. She's just done a tremendous job. And the few times that she has struggled, they've come back and gotten her.
Really wouldn't think that way either. You know, when a team sees you the next day or 2 days later, how much different you have to be as a pitcher.
Well, there's so much video now that you can go back to, and just all the technology. It's just ridiculous, and you know, that's how you prep for the next day, and you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to make adjustments. That's what this game is. It's a game of adjustments.
And Wacheno walks Daly with 2 outs. So Daly's on base for a 2nd time today. Wacheno hit Daly back in the 1st inning.
We talked about Taylor Ebbs, who's up right now. She has actually been on fire in the SEC with a .462 batting average, 2 home runs and 5 RBIs, though the huge at bat from Missouri to try and take advantage of a runner on base.
Hey, Flair, It's the first time since the third inning that Missouri's had a runner on. Tigers are 1 for 3 with runners on base today. And this season hitting 267, or rather 262 with runners on base. 267 when they're in scoring position. It's been a crutch for them this year. Fouls it off. Uchenyo 1 strike away from getting out of this inning. And back in that third inning, too, you kind of play the what if, because Claire Cahalan got on base with a 1-out walk, and then she was caught stealing. And then Missouri rattled off back-to-back singles after that. Didn't score. Ole Miss got out of the inning. The 2-2.
Hey, this pitch right here, let's go, mine.
You're going to have Kara Daly running on this pitch with a 3-2 count and 2 outs.
Ebbs fouls it off. Kentucky transfer in her first season at Mizzou. Her brothers were college athletes too. 2 wrestlers and a baseball player in her family. Hack and miss, strike 3. 8 of them now today for Miley Uchenyo. Low scoring affair in Oxford, game 1 of our doubleheader. The only difference is Blair Boutet's 2-out double. Aaliyah Binford was the next hitter. Had the RBI single that brought in Boutet. There's your difference in the ballgame. Other than that, it's been a nice old-fashioned pitcher's duel. And our other highlight package today, poor Destiny Robinson behind home plate. Not often umpires get their own highlight packages, but she's had quite the day too behind home plate.
Well, you see her smile after that last one. It's like, what else do I got to do here? That was the second time that she was hit in the mask.
Hit by 3 foul balls today. It's a career high for Destiny Robinson, we've been told by the umpiring crew back in the SEC. No, that's a joke. This is smacked to center field, but caught by Cahalan. Percy Yamas retired. She's 0 for 3 now today. Put the ball in play all 3 times.
Not for a lack of trying, because every at-bat that she's had has been, the ball has been just blistered out to the outfield.
3 tough hitters for Marissa McCann to get through here in the 6th. Yamas, she got off 1 pitch. Lexi Brady now at the plate, and Mackenzie Pickens due up 2. So far, though, Lexi Brady, she's 1 for 2, singled back in the 2nd. The lone meeting between these two last year was in the SEC tournament. Brady was hitless. Average up to 392, rather. And extending that hit streak now to 8 games. Wow, and a multi-hit game for her. And that gets through the glove of Kohler to the wall. Brady wants 2, slides in there, she's safe. Just got under the tag. What a throw from Kohler from left field.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now that ball was just a missile out to left field. Kohler backs up on it, and the ball plays her, gets by her off the wall, and Lexi Brady has a double.
See the look on the face, too, of Sophie Smith, who applied the tag to Brady. And Brady comes out, pinch runner over at second base for her.
Are you a little surprised that Larissa Anderson doesn't come out and challenge that? It was awfully close.
You know, they have our TV in their dugout, so our crew did a really good job of showing that. It's Taylor Strain, also a Baylor transfer, pinch running for Lexi Brady. So our crew did a good job playing that replay over and over. They probably saw the angles in their dugout, which helps. That way they don't have to waste a challenge.
True, but
But I know what you mean, absolutely.
you know,
I
we're
mean,
down to the nitty-gritty now.
you think for sure that maybe the coaching staff gets together and say, hey, maybe it's worth another look. You've got the Hawkeye system now in place this season. Those cameras are phenomenal. How crystal clear everything is.
Yeah, and how much they can slow it down. It's just insane.
It's over nearly 300 frames per second, all that stuff I can't understand. I just
Yeah.
know it looks really good. And
That's
it
right.
really helps the umpires and the crews to determine to get the calls right. But a big spot here for Mackenzie Pickens. And Ole Miss, a chance to add on insurance here in the 6th. Miley Wachenio's been spectacular today. As Pickens takes in and Strain with the big lead over at second base.
Well, this is a huge opportunity for Ole Miss to be able to put another run across on the board and improve their lead, give them a little bit of a cushion heading into the top of the 7th.
All right, McCann's day is done. Missouri's going to go to the bullpen. We'll tell you who's pitching when we come back. Features just 4 solo home runs, 2 homers apiece. Taylor Epps got it started for Missouri. Then Lexi Brady tied the game up at 1 in the 2nd. Thanks to her 11th homer of the season. Mackenzie Pickens, the freshman, with her 5th homer of the season. That gave Ole Miss a 2-1 lead in the 3rd. And now it's a tie ball game. Thanks to Julia Crenshaw's no doubter to right center. Both teams utilizing the long ball in game 2. There were no offensive fireworks.
None.
Back in game 1. It was a 1-0 Ole Miss winner. And Ole Miss freshman pitcher Miley Wachenio shut out Missouri. Just the 2nd time all season the Tigers have been shut out. And it came in back-to-back games, too. And Yamas, high drive, right field. It's got a chance. It's gone. Ole Miss leads. Speaking of the solo home runs, Yamas' 5th of her career. And isn't that a beautiful swing? (3-2) Rebels in the bottom half of the 6th. And that brings up Lexi Brady. The 7th home run given up by Taylor Pinnell this season. That hits Brady. Interesting start for Ole Miss here in the 6th.
Yeah, yes it is.
Good if you're a Rebels fan for sure. This one just looks like it got away from Pinnell.
And I don't think that's exactly what she was looking for. I think Brady would have preferred to have stood up there and taken a couple more swings.
And Taylor Strain comes into pinch run for Brady. Transferred in from Baylor. Taylor Strain, no stranger to playing against Ole Miss. In fact, Taylor Strain faced Ole Miss in the postseason and robbed former Rebel Paige Smith of a home run back when Ole Miss was playing Baylor. I think it was a Salt Lake Regional that happened. Bunts laid down by Jaden Pone. The flip over to first base is in time. So Pone does her job, moves up Taylor Strain to second base. And now Taylor Roman comes up. And the funny thing, too, about Taylor Strain is on her visit to Ole Miss, she met Paige Smith.
Did she?
It wasn't as awkward of a meeting as you may think. In fact, Paige Smith didn't remember
It's
Taylor
all
Strain.
sports here.
Yeah, didn't remember Taylor Strain robbing her of a home run.
Strain didn't forget it, did she?
Oh, no. Nope, that's, in fact, the first highlight you see in her highlight reel. And there are a lot of highlights on her highlight reel for sure. Taylor Roman had a single back in the second. Ole Miss looking for some insurance. Roman went to a regional every season in her 4 years at Louisiana, including a super regional back in 2023. That's her productivity with runners in scoring position this season. What are you seeing from Pinnell in this sitting inside the circle?
She's got a lot of movement, a lot more movement than I feel like we saw. I mean, just with the few pitches we saw in the first game, but also, you know, her aggressive behavior too. Not afraid to come inside.
A rocket that one hops the wall, strains around third, coming home. She scores without a throw. Taylor Roman.
You might be a little afraid now.
Her 10th RBI of the season, Roman, and just her 9th hit as an Ole Miss Rebel. How big is that insurance run for the Rebels in this inning?
Massive, massive. I mean, it allows, you know, it allows your pitcher to go out there and really, you know, 3 outs is all you need.
And now Roman comes off. Ryan Starr into pinch run for the Rebels.
Pitch change for Mizzou.
And Pinnell's day is done. J.C. Cruzy out to pitch now for Missouri. Places Taylor Pinnell, who allowed the home run to Percy Yamas. And then the RBI double from Taylor Roman. Now a 4-2 Ole Miss lead in the 6th. And Jamie McKay steps up to face J.C. Cruzy, hitting for Angelina De Leon, who is 0 for 2 today at the plate. She'll likely re-enter in the 7th to play defense. De Leon's just that good defensively that Ole Miss just can't afford to not have De Leon's glove out there. Jamie McKay from California, from Laguna Beach. And a pinch hit situation here with Ryan Starr at second base. .240 hitter this season, McKay. Game 22 for her this year, 12 hits. She does have 8 RBIs this year. Kind of been in and out of the lineup really since the first 8 games of the year. She bounces this up the middle, and more insurance for Ole Miss. Ryan Starr comes home. A pinch hit RBI single for Jamie McKay. What was a tie ball game coming in the home half of the 6th. Now Ole Miss leads 5-2. Now McKay comes off. Star Ferguson into pinch run for her. It's really just been Ole Miss's bats this inning, Carly, that really has allowed them to get ahead, or back ahead, I should say.
Absolutely. I think, you know, even for both teams, though, there's been a lot more contact hit with more pitching. You know, I think that we've seen more pitches by both pitchers. Longer at bats.
Ball 1 to Taylor Malvin. And the longer at bats too create opportunities for pitchers to make mistakes.
Absolutely. One's for hitters to capitalize on. The longer you're out there, the harder things start to get. The deeper in count, the more pitches that you make her throw. You leave very, very little wiggle room for error.
That's why they always tell you when you're at the plate, just fight off pitches.
Fight it off, fight it off, fight it off. I mean, those are the hardest ones where it's just, you know, I mean, it's not even a finish through on the swing. It's just a bat slap, and there's nothing more you want.
Nothing annoyed you more as a pitcher back in the day, right?
No, that was it. And then you have one of two things to do. You throw at the hands, you throw at the hands, you throw at the hands, and you hope to get a pop-up.
Out to the Missouri on deck circle. This is Cruzy's first outing since she came in last weekend against Oklahoma, and her 4th outing of the season. You see Taylor Malvin's numbers. Cruzy only appeared once last year in the circle. And Malvin chases 2 away for Ole Miss in this 6th inning, and now Mackenzie Pickens will get another shot at the plate. First one for Cruzy. Fourth strikeout of the year, too, for the senior from California. Pickens with a one-hopper to second base, and Smith takes care of Star Ferguson at second base. Well, Percy Yamas got it started with a beautiful swing, a solo home run, and then Ole Miss got 2 more runs on the board after that to take a 5-2 lead in the 7th. Looking for her 5th complete game this season and 28th for her career. The transfer from Baylor, who was named the best 2-way player of the nation by D1 Softball in the preseason. D1 Softball also named Binford the comeback player of the year last season. And she faces Julia Crenshaw to start. When you're a pitcher, Carly, and you have a 3-run lead, but you're facing the top 3 hitters in the opposing team's lineup, what's your approach?
Focus. And also, you know, back to skills, figuring out what was working earlier, what didn't work earlier. It looks like she's a little bit more settled down, even though you're at the latter half of the game. Staying away from sweet spots.
Ryan Starr in the game playing short and retires Crenshaw. Abrascato now steps up. She was robbed of a hit back in the 5th inning. Taylor Malvin with a diving stop. And as I say that, instead it's Nevaeh Watkins pinch hitting. Thought about the bunt, pulled back.
You're going to see that a lot with a pitcher that utilizes her off speed as much as Binford does.
Why is that?
The contact that you're going to get is going to be a lot softer. It's not going to roll as much. It's not going to be as far. And with your third baseman and your first baseman playing as far back as they are here, because they're not in a different set, that ball drops. You have 2 people to get there.
So it's an attempt to cause chaos.
Absolutely.
Which Missouri could use right now.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of outs away from a 2-7 start in SEC play. And an experienced group, too. And Larissa Anderson even said it. Missouri's playing like they're young, but they have experience.
They're older girls.
Hey, ready for the foul over here.
She just feels like they shouldn't have as many peaks and valleys that they do. And right now, they're in a valley. Into left, and Pone makes the catch. And Missouri, too, 1 out away from dropping its 3rd straight. Series finale will conclude tomorrow. 6 Central, mic'd up Monday on SEC Network. Ole Miss 1 out away from taking the series against Missouri. Ole Miss so far only needing 2 pitchers today.
That's all you hope to use in a 3-game series until you get to your 3rd day, so you have the opportunity of showing them somebody they haven't seen all weekend, or a combination of all of them.
Crowd getting behind Aaliyah Binford with 2 down in the top half of the 7th. High fly ball ripped into deep left. Jaden Bone just watches it fly. It's out of here. The Tigers still have life in the 7th. 5-3 game. 3rd homer of the day for the Tigers. We're not done yet in Oxford. And your eyes get real big looking at that swing. Why?
You got a piece of that one. Especially, you know, when you're in a count where you're at right now, we've got 2 outs. You think you might be able to kind of get away with leaving something just a slight bit over the plate, and it goes just a slight bit over the left.
Taylor Ebbs at the plate. She homered her first time up today. With a multi-hit day, she's 2 for 2.
JP, normal
This is her
depth.
6th homer of the season.
Normal.
The 31st of her career. One and 2.
You'll likely see her go back to that off speed just to kind of change eye levels here, even just.
There it was.
There it was. Perfectly placed, though. You know, those are ones that you want to bounce in this situation. Maybe get her to chase, but hope that she doesn't get any piece of it. You know, in a Binford situation, you know, if you walk her and put her on, you're not going to hurt yourself. It's okay.
That's why your offense gave you some insurance runs last inning.
That's right.
In case something like this happened. Payoff pitch to Pickens. Ball game. Ole Miss takes both in the doubleheader today against Missouri. And hang on here, I think Larissa Anderson wants to challenge this.
The play, first base, is under further review.
Spoke too soon. Coach Anderson, she is at first base too. It's close, but I think the throw from Pickens beats out Ebbs. And again, this is 280 frames per second. Our Hawkeye video review system.
I think at that angle, the ball's already in the glove.
At that, yeah.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Out.
Ball game. Now you can say it. Ole Miss is a winner in the doubleheader today. 1-0 winner this morning. 5-3 winner in Game 2, and the Rebels take the series. Their 3rd regular series win over Missouri. 3rd straight regular series win over Missouri, and the Rebels will look to sweep the Tigers